Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I used to believe marriages fell apart slowly, cracking one argument at a time. But for me, it happened in one night. One choice that felt small in the moment, harmless even, yet turned into the very thing that burned my life down. If I had known where that evening would lead, I would have locked my phone in a drawer, canceled every plan, and held on to my husband like the world was ending. Instead, I convinced myself I was choosing my career, my progress, my future. What I didn't realize was that the future I was gambling with was the one I had already built with a man waiting at home. My name is Emily Carter, 32, project manager at a mid-tier marketing firm in Boston. And for the most part, life was predictable. Emails, meetings, late dinners, tired conversations. My husband, Daniel, had always been the steady one. He worked as a physical therapist, spent weekends fixing things around the house, and made coffee every morning like it was some silent love language. But recently, our rhythms fell off. He seemed too quiet some days, too distracted others. I blamed stress. He blamed nothing at all. That was the problem. He stopped explaining himself. And then came Aaron. My boss wasn't a bad guy, not in the beginning. He was charismatic, sharp, polished in a way that made people trust him. He noticed effort, recognized talent, and had a habit of making whoever he talked to feel like the smartest person in the room. People gravitated toward him. I guess I did too, though I never thought of it that way until later, when everything was already ruined. The company had been preparing for a huge partnership pitch for months. If we landed it, entire departments would expand, salaries would bump, and Aaron made it clear I'd be the centerpiece of the campaign. "You're going places, Emily," he told me more than once. "Don't sell yourself short." It felt encouraging, like someone finally saw the version of me I was trying to grow into. A week before the pitch, Aaron's assistant announced an exclusive dinner for senior staff and the potential clients. It wasn't mandatory, but it was the kind of event where absence was louder than presence. I told Daniel about it casually, expecting nothing more than a nod of understanding. I wasn't prepared for how his face fell, how disappointment pooled in his eyes. "That's the night before our anniversary," he said, voice softer than usual. I blinked. I knew our anniversary was coming up, of course, but I didn't realize the timing collided like that. "It's just dinner," I said. "I'll be home by 10. He hesitated, then cleared his throat like there was something more he wanted to say. But he didn't. He just forced a smile that didn't touch his eyes and whispered, "It's fine. Work's important." I told myself he meant it. The night of the dinner arrived with the kind of winter cold that felt sharp enough to cut skin. I wore a navy dress, subtle and professional. Aaron greeted me with warmth, the clients with enthusiasm, the room with confidence. I tried not to think about Daniel eating takeout alone or what surprise he had planned for the next morning. As the evening unfolded, the atmosphere shifted slowly, like a dimmer lowering. The speeches got looser, the drinks flowed heavier, and the conversations drifted from business to personal compliments. Aaron praised me in front of everyone, called me the backbone of the entire project. It felt good, undeniably good, and I hated how much I enjoyed it. At one point, a photographer hired for the event snapped candid shots around the room. I didn't pay attention to him until he pointed the camera at Aaron and me while we stood close discussing a design concept. The flash went off. Aaron laughed. I smiled. It was harmless. At least that's what I believed then. When I finally checked my phone, I had 2 missed calls from Daniel and a text that said, "Are you coming home soon?" My stomach twisted. I left immediately, guilt blooming inside me like a bruise. But guilt would have been mercy compared to what was waiting for me. When I walked into the house, Daniel was sitting on the couch, hands clasped, jaw locked tight. He wasn't angry, not loudly. It was worse. His silence was cold, hollow, and absolute. On the coffee table lay his phone. On the screen, a photo, me, Aaron, standing too close, smiling too warmly, cropped in a way that made it look like something it wasn't. Daniel didn't look at me as he asked, voice cracking just once, "Was that night worth everything?" His words hit me harder than anything I'd ever felt. And just like that, the night wasn't harmless anymore. It was the beginning of the end. I didn't answer Daniel's question. Not because I didn't want to, but because the words simply wouldn't come. My throat felt tight, my mind fogged, and all I could manage was a shaky breath as I stared at the photo glowing from his screen. It didn't matter that nothing inappropriate had happened. The image told its own story, one that fed every insecurity he'd been quietly swallowing for months. And I suddenly realized how long he must have been fighting a battle I didn't even see. Daniel finally stood, exhaling like someone who'd reached the end of a rope. "You don't even see it, do you?" he whispered. "How you look at him, how you talk about him, how you always defend him." I wanted to protest, to insist it wasn't like that, but even I felt the hollowness in excuses forming in my mind. The truth wasn't that I had feeling for Aaron. The truth was worse. I'd allowed myself to crave the validation he offered, to use it as a refuge from the quiet distance growing between me and my husband. "I chose work, not him," I said finally. Daniel looked at me with eyes so tired they didn't even reflect anger anymore. "You chose not to be with me. That's all I needed to know." He walked past me toward the bedroom. I followed him instinctively, heart pounding with dread. "Daniel, please, can we just talk?" He paused at the doorway, head lowered. "I tried talking, Emily, for months. You were present, but not with me. And tonight just made everything clear." When he closed the door, gently but firmly, it felt more final than a slammed one. I slept on the couch that night, barely closing my eyes. My mind replayed the months leading up to this, the signs I had brushed off, Daniel coming home quieter, lingering glances at my laptop during late-night work sessions, the way he always paused before asking about my day like he was bracing for a disappointing answer. It wasn't that he doubted my loyalty. He doubted my priorities. And he wasn't wrong. The next morning, he was already gone. No note, no message, just a faint smell of his cologne in the hallway, a scent that suddenly felt like the ghost of something I had taken for granted. Our anniversary plans evaporated before they even existed. I made coffee but couldn't drink it. I showered but didn't feel clean. I went to work because I didn't know what else to do. When I walked into the office, everything felt wrong. People congratulated me on the dinner, joked about how important I was to the project, and praised the adorable photo the photographer had circulated for the company's internal page. My stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. It wasn't the photo itself, it was the comments. "Looks like you and Aaron made a great team. You two are always in sync. Power duo." I stepped into the restroom and locked myself in the stall, feeling my heart thud painfully. The moment I steadied myself enough to breathe, my phone buzzed. A text from Aaron. "You okay?" Heard the photo caused trouble at home. That was the moment something inside me snapped into clarity. He knew. He always knew the effect he had, not just on me, but on everyone, and maybe he didn't intend to cause damage, but he certainly didn't try to avoid it either. I typed back, "I won't be coming to the pitch meeting." He called instantly. I let it ring. By lunchtime, I left work. I didn't even pack up my desk. I just walked out with my purse and a decision I should have made months earlier. When I got home, Daniel was there, sitting quietly at the kitchen table, staring at a mug of cold coffee. My breath hitched. I wasn't expecting him. He looked up, eyes red but expression steady. "We need to talk," he said. His voice wasn't harsh, but it wasn't soft either. I nodded, feeling everything inside me tighten. He told me he'd spent the morning driving around, thinking, replaying our arguments, our silences, our misconversations. He wasn't accusing anymore. He was exhausted. "Emily, I can't live in a marriage where I feel like a placeholder," he said. "Like I'm waiting for you to remember I exist." Tears blurred my sight. "I'm sorry. I got lost in my career. I didn't see what it was doing to us. And that night, I swear it wasn't what it looked like." "I believe you," he said quietly. "But believing you doesn't fix the feeling." Those words hit harder than any accusation. He slid a folder across the table. Divorce papers. He had already signed his part. It felt like my lungs collapsed. I wanted to beg, scream, undo everything, but deep down I knew the damage wasn't from one night. It was from every night I chose work over us. Daniel stood, placed his keys on the table, and whispered, "I hope you find whatever you were chasing." Then he walked out the door like he was walking out a life he had already mourned. And I stayed at that table for hours, staring at the papers, the memories flooding in waves. My boss didn't ruin my marriage. I did. One choice, one night, one blind pursuit at a time.